So
we're going to talk about his hot button. Okay, so back to that article. There is a myth in genealogy that has been propagated again and again and again and again and again. And that is genealogy is the second most popular hobby in the United States and the second most popular category of websites on the internet. So quick poll, what do you guys think? Do you think it's the most popular? Do you think it's the second most popular? Or you're thinking, yeah, no, that's not right. What do you guys think? Put it in the chat real quick while I scratch my ears. So is your nose itching today?
No, not today, so
not
we're
today.
good.
It's probably going to start here. So what do you think?
I've heard this thing for 20 years. This is not something new. I've heard it at least for 20 years, if not longer than that.
It seems awful high.
Yeah.
Okay, who else? You guys weigh in. Let us know. There's quite a few of you in there, so let's see.
Yeah, do you think that genealogy is the second most popular or even close to the second most popular?
Popular? Okay.
Yes.
Rosalise is popular. What else? What do you guys think?
What do we think here?
Popular. Okay.
But is it the second most popular?
Well, they're saying popular versus most popular.
Okay.
That's why I'm seeing that.
Okay,
popular.
I see.
All
that.
right. Okay.
All right, so
Andy, take it away.
All right, so this is going to be a little rant because, as you can see from the title, this is a genealogy myth that must die, and that must die I put in capital letters for a reason, and let me talk about that reason to begin with. Okay. So genealogists pride themselves on
citing sources. As Deco Card asked about in a video that was released today.
Making sure that you have information that shows that, hey, this person really is related to this person all the way back, whatever. You need to have sources. You need to tell them that. That is honestly one of the things that distinguishes genealogy from a lot of other academic pursuits. Not saying that sources aren't important there, but it seems like sources are paramount in genealogy. Mm-hmm. So for this body of knowledge where where sources are paramount, we have, let me switch this up here.
Switch your stuff.
So we have, here was that article where it was saying, hey, it's second most popular. Mm-hmm. And we get magazine articles that are saying it. This is from Time Magazine.
In 2014.
In 2014. How genealogy became almost as popular as porn.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Because we all know porn is popular. Right? And back in 2012, in this article, Who's Your Daddy? Genealogy becomes a $1.6 billion hobby. And where was it? Genealogy is hot.
The preferred pastime.
It's become widely popular.
It's no longer a niche.
Hobby experts believe that genealogy ranks second only to gardening as America's favorite pastime.
Okay, so not porn?
Not porn, all of a sudden. Gardening, not porn, is America's favorite pastime.
We're going to so get flagged.
Oh, yeah, this video, we'll see if this gets blocked. But anyway, so here's where the problem starts on these articles. Now, again, this is Time, this is ABC. They have these things, but if you'll notice, there's actually no source for that statement. There's no link that takes you to something else, which is a little bit lazy because, as you can see right up here, they got a link to the Ancestry website. Mm-hmm. So if they got a source for this, hobby experts believe, then why don't you put that in there? That's the great thing about the internet.
I studied journalism. They don't always cite their sources.
They don't always cite their sources. It's not, like I said, in genealogy, citing your sources is far more important than most every other thing.
Let's close a few of these while you're
Just
going,
a second.
Mr. Ranter.
Okay. So let me close that one. So then we get to this USA Today article. And this was from 2014, so, in between that time. Well, they're good because as they're talking about it, genealogy has become the second most popular hobby after gardening, which is good, and this is probably where they get that quote, or where they quote it, or they figured something out. And the second most visited category of website after pornography. So gardening is the most popular hobby, according to this. Genealogy is second. But pornography is the most popular websites. Kind of websites. And genealogy is second. The nice thing is they have links for both of these of where they're getting that information. So let's follow these links and see if this source really matches up. So first off, second most popular hobby. This source goes to a book in Google Books. And this book is called Genealogy and Indexing by Kathleen Spaltro from 2003.
Okay.
I have not read this book. I just have where they're linking to this in here. And in this, it says, and I can't highlight this for some reason, but basically, it proves that genealogy is hugely popular. As a matter of fact, the Marist Poll Service, and then they give a website, recently reported that genealogy is the second most popular hobby in America right after gardening.
Okay.
Again, that's same verbiage all the time. So let's go over to the Marist Poll website. Let's look for genealogy, and we get nothing. Let's look for hobby. Okay, we get a couple things, but guess what? They don't have anything to do with the most popular hobbies. In fact, I looked all over this Marist Poll website, and I could find nothing as far as this poll of most popular hobbies in America that has genealogy number 2. Now that does not mean
current.
Or anything current. Now that does not mean it didn't happen, because again, this book was written in 2003. They say recently, so it might have been in 2001 or 2002. And if you go down to the archives, their archives only go back to 2002, December of 2002. So it might not be on there.
Or it might not be searchable.
But from a citation standpoint, where am I there?
The blue dot.
And this is a book about genealogy and indexing, so you would hope that their citations would be good. I've lost my place there. But their web link didn't lead me to where that information was at all. So it was poorly cited as far as that information. So we still just have this thing out here saying that it is, but we haven't actually seen anything that really says it for sure. So let's go to the next one. Let's go after to the second most visited category of website. And we'll click on that link. And that link takes us over to an article in Family Tree magazine from 2003. Same time period. So again, we're talking about something from 15 years ago. Now, this is not saying that Family Tree magazine is a bad thing. Family Tree magazine puts out a lot of great stuff. The very first paragraph on here. Homegrown sites have helped make genealogy the second most popular topic on the web behind only pornography. And there are no sources of where this was. So again, we don't have a poll, we don't have a survey, we don't have anything. We just have a statement from somebody saying, hey, this is the second most, popular thing next to porn. Now, nobody's disputing that porn's popular, I think. And so to be able to compare genealogy to porn, it's like, hey, we're almost at the pinnacle of popularity because, yeah. And gardening. Everybody loves gardening, right? Everybody has to love gardening. But so far, Time, ABC, USA Today, no sources, no actual evidence of this statement, and we're just repeating it, over and over. And it's not just the news services. What about gardening porn? Well, I'm sure if you Google that, there's got to be a niche for everything. I think it's like Rule 37 or something on the internet is there is yeah. We weren't planning on talking about porn today, just so you know. And we certainly weren't planning on talking about gardening porn. But let's go on here.
Thanks for the laugh. That was hilarious.
Nia, that's awesome. That would be the most popular, obviously. Take two great hobbies combined into one. So it's not just these news services that are, like you said, journalism's always not good at citing their sources.
They don't tell you their sources. I studied journalism. I know.
I went to Google and I just typed in, is genealogy the second most popular hobby? And I went through the first few pages of websites and I picked out genealogists. We have familytree.com. Hey, guess what? They cite USA Today, which we already showed doesn't cite anything. We have Ancestry, not some subsidiary. Ancestry, their blog.
In 2017.
In 2017 says Time and USA Today is their source. But we've just shown you that those are not good sources because they don't have any data to back it up. They're just statements that are repeating statements from somebody else. Whew. Ancestral findings, same thing. They repeat this verbatim. Dick Eastman, same thing, repeats it verbatim. It's not just a few, and it is not bad genealogists that keep repeating it. It is pretty much all genealogists that keep repeating it. Except there's a couple of places where it's not repeated. James Tanner is one who questions this. And thank you, he actually has had a couple of blog posts on his different blogs. One from 2015 and one from 2016. In 2015, he says, hey, this hobby claims about genealogy are completely unfounded. Where he talks about the hobby experts believe it's the second most, and then he says, I'm not finding anything there. And asks the question, so who are the hobby experts and where is their list? In 2015, James Tanner had already figured out that, guess what? There's nothing to this so far. In 2016, he revisited this in much more detail and actually went through and did a Google search, 50 most popular hobbies, 10 most popular hobbies. Guess what's not on those lists? Certainly not at number 2 or anywhere. Genealogy. Thank you, James Tanner. You've got it, Route 66. Sources are important. And again, I'm harping on this because genealogists like to harp on sources. Me personally, I'm terrible at sources. I am the guy that, okay, I'm going to attach this source to, Family Search. Bam, I'm done. If you want to know how to write a citation, I'm the last person to ask. But I can see that there's nothing here on this. Let me take a breather. Now, Genealogy in Time magazine, and this was back, when was this? I can't remember what the date was. Anyway, they have a nice long article here. Let me copy this because I highly recommend that everybody read this article because they go through in a very logical approach to see how big is this genealogy hobby.
I think the date's on the last page.
It might be on the last page here. 2013. So still 5 years ago or so. And they basically conclude, yeah, it's a growing hobby, but even when you look at the website numbers, it's not second to porn, that's for sure. Not gardening porn. I'm going to be talking about that so many times. We'll see how much YouTube flags this. And I'm sorry for those of you who are searching for something and you got genealogy when you really were wanting something else. Maybe you'll learn something here. And for those of you who are searching for genealogy and didn't think Rule 34, thank you, Route 66. I knew it was something there. But anyway, so Genealogy in Time does a great job of going and laying out and basically showing, yeah, okay, so it's growing, but it's not necessarily anywhere close to the most popular.
And I like that he said there's different levels of interest in genealogy. When discussing the popularity of genealogy, it's important to specify what interest level is being considered. And that goes back to my marketing research days, where it all depends on the questions being asked.
Which we don't know with this magical list that put it second. We don't know what question was asked to begin with on that.
Right, absolutely.
So let me go through. So I decided, well, let me see. It's 2018. Let's see if I can find some more information on popular hobbies, because while we haven't found any source from or back then that actually shows it, maybe there's something recent that actually does. So again, I use Google a lot. Hey, what's the most popular hobbies? Well, we got the 10 most popular hobbies in 2014. Sewing, tinkering, social media.
Arts and crafts. Someone said arts and crafts.
Arts and crafts, yep. Photography, shopping, playing video games, sports, baking, travel.
Yep.
No genealogy, and no porn, incidentally.
Dude, is that a hobby or a pastime?
I don't know. 50 most popular hobbies. And did this have a date on it? 2011. So this is still about 8 years old or so. Top 10. Reading, watching TV, family time, going to movies, fishing, computer, gardening. There's gardening. It's not even number 1. It's number 7 now. We've gotten away from gardening all of a sudden. Walking, exercise, listening to music, entertaining, hunting teams. I mean, again, you don't see genealogy on here. Video games is number 10. Gardening is number 9. Music, television, crafts, fishing, traveling, reading. And I'm not sure what year this was.
Look at, it doesn't have comments. All right.
Now, for the wealthy, this is one that I found for the wealthy because, you know, doing genealogy doesn't mean you're wealthy, but it usually does take some time and money. And skiing, watches. I didn't realize watches was a hobby. Fishing, jewelry. It's like jewelry's a separate hobby than watches? Can't we just combine those two? Hunting, dining, golf, cultural events, reading, football, soccer, collectibles, automobiles, boating, wine and spirits, which is different than eating, politics. Politics is a hobby. You know, for some, maybe, I guess.
But there's the art.
Yeah, fashion, art, travel, and philanthropy.
Okay.
No genealogy. And again, I don't want to go through all of these. 6 most popular hobbies you can do for free. Exercising, learning, reading, writing, vegetable gardening, volunteering, consuming media, no genealogy, even though nowadays you can do genealogy for free. Reading, travel, musical instruments, watching birds, creating crafts, online shopping, video games, no genealogy, no genealogy, no genealogy. What is the most popular hobby in the U.S.? No genealogy. And that is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's our government's actually asked people that, and yes, we don't come in anywhere close. So then I wanted to look at, well, let's look at Google Trends, and this is what Genealogy in Time did back in 2013, as well as some other things. And so this takes a look from Google search when you put in a term where it falls in the popularity spectrum. So we can see here, I'm going to just move the comments over here so that Devin can be laughing at them as we go through, because this has been fun. You're glad we're having this Yeah, who thought on YouTube we'd be talking about, what did you call it, gardening porn? Porn gardening? I just like saying that.
Genetic genealogists for the wealthy.
Genetic genealogists for the wealthy. Well, so since we talked about gardening first, we're going to keep this clean. And don't worry, for those of you who are watching and you keep on hearing porn mentioned, there are going to be no images. Nope. I am not searching for porn on Google.
No, just the term.
I'm just using that term because that's what they say.
And she's sewing right now as she's listening to your rants.
Okay. So you're doing multiple hobbies at the same time.
Multitasking, I love it.
Here is, red is gardening, and green is genealogy. Sorry, blue is genealogy. You can see back in 2004, genealogy, from a search term, much more popular than gardening. Gardening goes in cycles, which makes sense when you think about the weather. My guess is that, hey, gardening peaks in about April, May, and in December it's at its lull because nobody's gardening, unless you're in Southern California where the weather's beautiful all year round. But at the same time, that's also where genealogy dips. So anyway, genealogy started out sewing porn.
Oh, you guys are too fun. Sorry.
We got all sorts of